Well, ladies and gentlemen, 2020 has just about come to a close. And thank God, because this year has been absolutely dreadful. And that can be boiled down to this little virus that's been going around since March, and it doesn't look like it's ever going to slow down. I mean, every major sports league got shut down at one point or another. The NFL, the MLB, the NBA, all of them gone. Except for wrestling. And WWE, and I guess AEW in particular. While every other sports league was shut down by their owners and saying, hey, we'll finish the season later, WWE never stopped. They just kept on going in the Performance Center in front of no fans. And then they moved to the Thunderdome in front of fans on screens. Has it worked? You could say so, because the Thunderdome is one of the freshest ideas WWE has come up with in a long time. Besides the things that made this year weird, I want to talk about the wrestlers who made this year unforgettable. The performers that, given the circumstances, gave their all into whatever they did, fans or no fans. The wrestlers who made a not enjoyable year somewhat enjoyable. Of course, since this is a list constrained to 5 entries, there are going to be a bunch of names left off of this list. So I've taken the liberty of coming up with some honorable mentions, which are these. You got all that? Good, because we're ready to get started. I'm Jackson Haney from Insane Internet Wrestling, and here are the 5 best WWE wrestlers of 2020.
Number 5, Adam Cole.
Considering the fact that Adam Cole has been one of the best wrestlers in WWE for a little while now, this should not come as a surprise to anybody. But you do have to take into account the fact that Cole has taken a bit of a step back since losing the NXT Championship back in July. Which isn't to say that Cole isn't a bona fide main eventer anymore, because he still is, but it's weird because his partner, Kyle O'Reilly, who, remember, is a guy most known for tag team wrestling, and O'Reilly has gotten just as many NXT Championship matches as Cole, when Cole wasn't the champion, of course. Anyway, Cole has put out a heck of a performance this year, putting out great matches against the likes of Keith Lee, Finn Balor, Tommaso Ciampa, Velveteen Dream, and Pat McAfee. Yeah, I know, I already made a video about the whole Pat McAfee Adam Cole thing. If you want to see that, click here. But I'm serious. It's difficult to get a great match out of a guy who's never wrestled a day in his life. Not impossible. Bam Bam Bigelow did it with Lawrence Taylor at WrestleMania 11. But still, everything that Cole has done this year has practically been gold. From his feud with Pat McAfee to his attempt to regain the NXT Championship against Finn Balor, which went unsuccessful, but it was still gold, and him becoming the longest reigning NXT champion in WWE history. And all of those factors earn Cole a solid place on this list.
Number 4, Roman Reigns.
Yeah, I know. He's only been here half a year. But still, holy crap, Roman Reigns has changed. If you told me this time last year that Roman Reigns would be Universal Champion as a heel, and he would put on one of the best feuds of the year against Jey Uso, I would have smacked you in the face, but then I would have waited a year, come back to you, and then I would have apologized. For years now, WWE fans have been clamoring for Roman Reigns to change something, whether it be his look, his moveset, or his character. And after he was sidelined from WrestleMania this year because of that virus, it finally gave him a chance to go over some things and make some necessary changes. The main change being, he turned heel. Now this year started off like any other for Roman. He was a prominent figure on WWE television and in a really weird feud with, Baron Corbin. But then he entered himself into a feud with Goldberg, for the Universal Championship. But because of that virus, it didn't happen. He was sidelined for a while, but then at SummerSlam, after The Fiend beat Braun Strowman for the Universal Championship, Roman Reigns came back with a new set of teeth and a new attitude. He beat the heck out of Braun and The Fiend, and that set up a Universal Championship triple threat match the next week at Payback. And on the contract signing for that match on the episode of SmackDown beforehand, we saw that Roman Reigns had aligned himself with Paul Heyman. He won the Universal Championship at Payback and entered a feud with Jey Uso and put on some of the best matches of the entire year. And let's not forget that his Tribal Chief gimmick is way better than anything he's done in the past 5 years. Of course, that's just personal opinion, but just look at what he's done since his return and you will see my reasoning. Bottom line, Roman's better than he's ever been, I think, and even though he's been back for only a few months, I think he's solidified himself as one of the best wrestlers of the entire year.
Number 3, Randy Orton.
Now, practically every wrestling fan knows that Randy Orton has been one of the best wrestlers in WWE for about 20 years now, but 2020 has seen a bit of a resurgence for him. Consider this. What was Randy Orton doing this time last year? Nothing, really. I mean, he was just doing a bunch of stuff with Drew McIntyre, but he wasn't really doing anything of substance. Thank Edge for turning that around, because Edge returned after 9 long years, as Michael Cole would put it, at Royal Rumble, and instantly went into a feud with Randy Orton, which culminated in a highly underrated match at WrestleMania, which felt like it took 50 years. Granted, but still, I thought it was a good match. Of course, that would not be the end of the feud, as they had the greatest wrestling match ever at Backlash, and Orton won with the punt, and that saw the return of vicious Randy Orton. The Randy Orton that would kick you in the head and not feel sorry for you. Then, the Drew McIntyre feud came back, but this time, Drew was WWE Champion, so that could have gotten exciting. And it did. They faced off for just about 3 pay-per-views in a row, forget Payback even happened, and Drew won twice, but Randy got the W at Hell in a Cell. Yes, Randy Orton won a world championship in the year of our Lord 2020, and I was really happy. Of course, it would not last because Drew got the title back a few weeks later, and that's left Randy Orton to do... what? Oh, wait, hold on. Oh yeah, Burn the Fiend alive. Yes, the Randy Orton Fiend Bray Wyatt feud was a monstrosity of a feud, and saw one of the weirdest, best, worst moments of 2020. I don't even know anymore. Besides all of that hot fire, Randy's had a pretty good year, all things considered, and that's earned him the number 3 spot.
Number 2, Sasha Banks.
Every hardcore wrestling fan knows, and most casual wrestling fans should know, that Sasha is one of the best women's wrestlers on the face of the earth, WWE or otherwise. And honestly, she needed a year like this, because last year, she won the women's tag titles with Bayley, good start, but then lost at WrestleMania, threw a hissy fit, and then sat out for a little while. And then she came back as a mean smurf. Obviously a joke, but it was a weird transition, seeing Sasha as a happy-go-lucky babyface that WWE loves to portray their characters as, to a cold-hearted, sadistic villain. It was a necessary change, and as it turns out, it was a good change. Now, I did not put Bayley on this list, because, well, she's annoying, and she hasn't had that many good matches in 2020, but Sasha definitely has. Aside from a few noteworthy points of discussion, which I'm not going to point out, every match that Sasha has been in this year has been at least decent. And the cherry on top was the Sasha Bayley feud. We knew it was coming, we just didn't know when, and thank God it happened because it needed to. That feud culminated in my opinion, the best women's match in WWE this year. Sasha seems to be at the top of her game right now, and I imagine that that's only going to get better as time progresses. Yeah, Sasha's had one heck of a year, but she hasn't had the best year out of everyone. That would be...
Number 1, Drew McIntyre.
Can it really be anybody else? I mean, he won the Royal Rumble, he beat Brock Lesnar in the main event of WrestleMania, and he won the WWE Championship twice. And this is a guy who was not even in the company 4 years ago. When he got back to the main roster, he was your typical brooding muscle. Still athletic as heck, but he didn't have that surge of charisma that he has now. But when he won the Royal Rumble back in January, great Rumble I might add, they gave him the green light to do whatever the heck he wanted virtually. He turned face, had some great promos, and some great matches. Seriously, his matches with Bobby Lashley and Dolph Ziggler turned out way better than I expected them to be. His feud with Randy Orton was very solid, and even though what he's done in the past few months hasn't been particularly great, it hasn't been terrible either, and I imagine it's going to lead with a feud with Sheamus at some point. All in all, nobody, and I mean nobody, has had a better year than Drew McIntyre, and I will not hear otherwise. Take into account all of the things he's done over the past 12 months, and you've got yourself the perfect candidate for the best WWE wrestler of 2020.
And that's our list. Thanks for watching. Did we miss anything out? If we did, tell us about it in the comment section down below. Don't forget to like this video, share it, and subscribe. And you can follow me on Twitter here. I'm Jackson Haney from Insane Internet Wrestling. Have a happy holidays, and I will see you soon.